Hello, welcome in another important video. Now in our previous video, we saw how to create APIs using Express.js, Node.js, MySQL and MongoDB. Now here in this video, we will see how to test our created APIs. Now before we start testing our APIs, we should know why do we require testing. Most of the times it happens that client requirement gets changed, sometimes new requirement gets added. So while implementing those changes in a code, there is always a possibility that you will change something that shouldn't be changed, or it might affect other functionalities which you have already completed. In order to figure out what's changed and is it affecting other features or not, you always have the manual testing option. But the manual testing might not catch those changes, and possibly you can push the code which shouldn't be pushed. So now how to avoid those situations, and is there any way to figure out is it something breaking by new changes or not? Definitely, that's the thing we are going to learn in this video. We have two different ways to test our application. One is the manual way, another one is automation. And it is always recommended to use automation way because manual way might includes human errors, or it might miss some important points. While at the other hand, automation is nothing but you just have to write simple test cases and you just have to run that particular program, and the program will pass all the values and the program will test it and it will give you the result. So it is pretty accurate and reliable, depends on how you are writing your test cases. There are different types of testing. One is functional testing, another one is unit testing and API testing. So there are several different types of testing. Among those, we will need only functional testing as well as we will need API testing. So here we have different libraries to test our Node.js application. You can use jest, you can use Selenium, you can use Mocha JS. So we are going to go with the Mocha JS because it is one of the most feature-rich library, or you can say it is a testing framework which allows you to test your applications which is developed in a Node.js or in a JavaScript. So if you look into mochajs.org website, you will get to see that they have given a lot of different features. And if you see inside the backers, so backers are those people who are supporting and helping Mocha.js to grow. So these are all the partners that they have got. If you scroll it down a little bit, you'll see all the features that Mocha.js is providing. So it is providing browser support, simple asynchronous support, and whole bunch of other features you will get to see here. If you scroll it a little bit more down, you will get to see the table of contents. So that's what we required here. So we are going to test our APIs and we want something that will tell us is it returning this value which we are expecting at the user end, or it is giving something else. So most of the times we develop any APIs and we are expecting that it will return object, but sometimes due to some wrong inputs, it returns either error or maybe sometimes return unexpected values. Due to that, entire flow of application gets spoiled if it is not handled very well. It's our job as a developer to test everything and just have to pass all possible values that can come from user, and you have to test your API. So that's the reason why we need automation testing in our Node.js. So if you look back inside of our code, we have used one boilerplate, and that is helping us to create our basic structure of API. Now if you see here, you will get to see that there is a folder with the name test, and inside of that we by default get two different files, and now this file is holding the code of testing. If I go inside of it, I will get to see that there is some lines written like described. You can see this is the code, and this is nothing but your test cases. So let's see this in the action. Let me just quickly remove entire code. And if I go back inside of Mocha.js, this is the way of installing Mocha.js. You can install it globally or you can save it as a dev dependency. So choice is up to you. Now alongside Mocha JS, we will need some assertion libraries. Now the main intention behind using assertion library is that assertion libraries helps you to compare different values. Let's say if you want to compare value of a is equal to value of b, this is quite simple, you can do it in the code itself. But what if I say you have to check fourth index of particular array and you have to check its type? Then this becomes quite hard. But this is just example, but in real life there are multiple cases where you need to write a whole bunch of code just to check those values. Just to avoid those situations, you can use assertion libraries. Now Node.js by default has one assertion library. Its name is Assert. This is not recommended to use because it is not providing too much features, as well as it is not that much useful. Well, we have different better options to use as an assert library. So we have chai.js is an assertion library which is feature rich, and it almost has everything that we need to test our APIs. So let's install it all together. So in order to install, I just have to write one command sudo npm install. Well, before that, let me go inside of my working project directory, which is API, and then simply write command sudo npm install Mocha as well as chai. Well, while it is being installing, let's know more about assertion library. It is quite confusing to understand how the assertion library works and what's the main role behind using assertion library. Well, just for the simplicity, let me tell you, this is just doing the comparison. If you want to compare two different values, or if you want to check, or if you want to see is it an object, or maybe is it an array, or if you want to check is it sending null value, all these type of data types you can check using an assert library. Well, if you don't want to use an assert library, it's completely up to you. Just have to write simple code for checking these two different values. Well, I have already installed those, so I'm not going to install it again. So let's go inside of our main file. So now every time when we write test cases, it is always recommended to keep all the test cases in a separate folder. So that's the reason why we get this test folder. And since we use the boilerplate, so we also get Mocha JS installed by default. So if you look into dev dependencies, you will get to see this Mocha JS. If you don't have this installed in your working directory, just simply get it installed. Now the next thing that we need to look into is script. So inside of script, just need to add one more script that is nothing but test, and just have to provide the Mocha. Okay, now this will search for a test folder and it will run all the test cases which is we have written inside of a test folder. If you want to provide a dedicated path, you can provide it here. Okay, as a next parameter, you can provide your entire path. Well, that's it. And the next thing is an exit and -s. I'll explain importance of -s in a while, but let's just go inside our main JS file. So here is our main JS file, and so I'm going to write a simple code for addition of two numbers, and we will test what values that addition function is returning. So let's do that. So here I'm just using a const variable and import the Mocha. Okay, so now we have imported Mocha and chai both. Now let's try to create one function which will do the operation of addition. Now we have the function which is doing just an addition operation and returning whatever the result will come from addition. Now ideally if you write this type of code, you are expecting just a number, right? But what if you pass some non-expected value? So let's see what can go wrong. So if I'm expecting addition, I can pass 4 and 6. Now this will certainly give me a right result. But what if I pass 6 like this? Let's see what we get as a result. Let me clear this up. And if I go inside of working directory, okay, so now here as you can see we got 46 as an output, which is not accepted because we are doing addition operation and I pass the value of 6 as a string. So that's the reason it has concatenated two different values. Now certainly this is a value, it seems like it is a number, but it is not the actual number, it is a string, and it is of no use because it is not giving us the actual output which we are expecting. Now this type of situation can happen sometimes if you don't pass actual number. Let me just pass any random string. As you can see here, it has concatenated that as well. So if you're not handling this type of situations, then it might create a problem because this is generating a wrong output and it might create the final output entirely wrong. If someone don't pass this type of value and you just simply run this, so now you are getting 9 as an output. So this is not a number. So this type of errors or this type of outputs you will get instead of getting the actual output. So that's the reason why we need to write test cases. So all those test cases will check the type of inputs, it will check the actual number is or it will check the actual number, it will check is it producing right output or not. So let's see how it works. So let me quickly import it, Mocha JS and chai.js again, and I'm going to keep this function as it is. If you look into mochajs.org website, you will get to see that this type of syntax that they are following. Now this is nothing but a callback. They are using two different callbacks. One is described, another one is it. So now described is nothing but you have to write the name of the test case which you are performing. So let's say I'm performing test case of addition of two numbers. So I'm going to go and describe it like addition. It will help you to give a name of your test case. Now as a second parameter, we have to use a callback function. Okay, again as a second parameter, so the second thing is you can write it. So now it is also a callback, and inside of it we are going to write actual test case. So now there could be multiple test cases, like we are going to check the type of the input which we are receiving. We will also get to check what type of output they are returning. So all these test cases, there could be multiple test cases in real life scenarios, and in order to handle all of those, we can describe it and we can write multiple test cases inside. So let's see how it works. So here is the function. And I'm going to check type. So that's why I'm going to give it a name type check. Okay, and inside of it I'm going to call this function. Now since we have installed chai.js, we can make use of it. And you have to write this like assert then it will be chai dot equal, and it is holding two different parameters. One is the actual value which you are expecting, and the next one is the value that function is returning. So I'm going to provide it the actual value of this addition number will be a 10, and what I'm going to use this function, and I'm going to pass it a value of 4 and 6. Okay, and then once you done with all the type check, you can call done function here. Let me use this done function here. Okay, so now with this way you can write your test case. So now in order to execute this test case, you just have to go back into your working directory, and inside of package.js you will write simple Mocha. Okay, so now if I go back inside of the main folder, and here if I run this command npm run test, as you can see we got a result and it is saying it is passed. So because this function is returning exact same output what we have given as a first parameter. So let me just quickly change something. Let me change by 1, and if I execute it again, you can see here it is giving us an error. Okay, so this is not giving an actual output. Okay, so we can write test cases likewise. So if you want to write nested test cases, now if you might have observed this is first giving us a value of describe, which is an addition, and then it is giving us a name of our actual test case, which is nothing but a type check. So if I add another test case here and saying that value check, well actually first one was type check, first one was value check, and the last one will be type check. Okay, so now here okay, so in order to type check we have to import an expect. Okay, so this is the way we can check return type of our function. So I just have to write simple expect dot expect of add to be a number, and if I re-execute this, as you can see here our second test case passed. So if I change value of 4 by 6, 1 by 6, or both of the test cases will get execute and pass. See, so with this way we can write our entire test case, and if you go inside of the chai.js library, which is an assertion library, you will get to see that there are different types of functions that they are offering, and compare or return type of any function or an API. Here in this example we test just a simple function, but in our next couple of videos we are going to test the actual APIs which we have created in our previous videos. So I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.